Hi there. I wanted to just pop on and work through an example from the homework really quickly that I'm getting a few questions about. It's from our very first section 1.1 that's covering functions and how to determine if something's a function and also how to find function values. The one that I'm being asked about is the number 8, which is about if we give you a graph, what's f of 3? If we give you an expression, what's f of 5? If we give you a table, what's f of 8? So depending on how the function is presented to you, there's a different way to go about finding that output or that function value. So let me go ahead and share the screen and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is the problem that we're dealing with. I know it gives us a little video there. I'm not sure what's in the video, but I also wanted to call your attention to the fact that when they have parts A and B, and I don't know if they have several parts or just these two, it's not necessarily, in fact, it's not the same function being represented for each part. So part A, it's being given to us as an XY equation. That is not the same function as what we see being graphed here on part B. They are different functions that are being asked about. So I think in each one of them, we're using the input of 2, but we're looking at a different function, so we might get different outputs. All right, so the first one, part A, when it says find f of 2, again, that means what is the output when we use 2 as an input? When x is 2, what's y? Or when x is 2, what's the output of the calculation? All right, so part A, over here, it tells us part A is associated with the equation y equals 10 minus 4 times x squared. And then it tells us in the notation that the x value is supposed to be 2. So we're supposed to work this out where the x is 2. 10 minus 4 times 2 squared. Now, I'm hoping that we can all do that without going to a calculator, that if we do go to a calculator, I don't care if we use Desmos or we use the graphing calculator, which one will I do? I'll show you Desmos just because there's so much stuff already showing about the graphing calculators. So like there's an example right there. When you go to Desmos and there's different options, just pull up the one that says graphing calculator or calculator, and you just type in your expressions that you're trying to work on. So ours was 10 minus 4 times, and the input was 2, and then we're supposed to square. What 4 times 2, and then we square that, so that's what it looks like. Now this should give us 2 squared is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, 10 minus 16 ought to be -6. And notice there, it tells us right there, as we're typing it out, it's computing the answer. And then when we're finished typing, we look over here to see what the answer has landed on. So it says when x is 2, the output is -6. Okay, so we can also do that on the TI graphing calculators, but let's go back and finish the question right there. All right, so 10 minus 4 times x squared when x is 2, that computes to 10 minus 16 or -6. So let's see how we do it. Put in -6, have it check the answer. Good job. All right, I feel affirmed. Now we'll go to the next one here, part B. They've given us the graph of a function. I'm going to break that out to where we can see it a bit better. All right, so here's our function, and it's still asking us to find f of 2. So remember, they're asking us, what is the number that is paired with the x value of 2? And when we see a graph, it means of all the ordered pairs that represent a point along this graph. So basically, I'm saying what point on this graph has an x value of 2? So this is the x-axis, the horizontal axis. So I go and I find where x is 2 on the horizontal axis right there. And then I go straight up or down that line until I find it where it intersects with the graph. So right here, it looks like when I go over 2 and down 3, I land on the graph right there. So the coordinates for this point where I have the cursor is x is 2, y equals -3. So 2, -3. So according to that picture, whenever you're given a graph and they say find f of a particular number, find that number on the x-axis because that's what that number represents. And then you'll have to travel up and down vertically because the vertical line represents all points who have that x value. So we want to know where that vertical line intersects the graph that we're given. And it's right here. It's down here below the x-axis at -3 for the y value. Okay, so if we're going to down here and report the answer. We're looking at the graph this time, and we got a different number because it's a different function. We'll check that one. And I guess that's all they have on this one. I know some of these have more than one question to them, but more than one part to the question. Okay, so that's just, there's other things that we might have to do to get you to report a function value, but if you're just given the expression, the number between the parentheses, when it says find f of 2, the number in the parentheses is x, so you're going to take in the expression, substitute 2, or whatever the number is, for the x, and then just use order of operations to work out the value. If it's a picture, and it says find f of 3, or whatever the number is between the parentheses, it's still an x value. We go along the x-axis until we find that number, and then we have to travel vertically until we hit the graph of the function that's been drawn in there. Ours, the one I just looked at, went down below. So when we found the x equals 2, we had to drop down until it hit the graph right here at 2, negative 3. All right, so a function value is the y value that is paired with the x value that they're showing you in the parentheses. Okay, so I hope that's enough to get just that one problem done, and you'll have an opportunity throughout the class to do lots and lots of function values, but that's just kind of getting us started. Okay, so I hope that's helpful, and I hope you're all continuing to work on the homework. See you later.